The pilot of an ultralight aircraft that made an emergency landing on a Metro Vancouver highway yesterday afternoon says he should have paid more attention to warnings about his engine. Paul Dean Freeman suffered a fractured vertebrae and spent 7 hours in emergency. He knows he's lucky to be alive and lucky no one on the ground was injured. He spoke to the CBC about how everything went wrong all of a sudden.
The engine just went bang and stopped. I'm like, oh no, that was at 1,200 feet of altitude. So got the airspeed under control. Oh, where's the field? There's no field. I got nowhere to land. This is all bad. I got bush all in front of me, and the only thing I could see was the 72nd and then the freeway, the Highway 91. So I can make it there. And then I realized I wasn't gonna make it.
So this is a story about some great aviation, but on the other hand, maybe some bad maintenance. Teresa Tang is following this for us tonight. Teresa?
Well, responsible drivers know there are all sorts of hazards when you're out on the road, maybe children or debris. But imagine you're driving down a major highway during rush hour. You look in your rearview mirror and you see this small aircraft descending behind you. That's exactly what happened to drivers in Delta yesterday afternoon. This location was about 25 kilometers to the south of Vancouver. Remarkably, no vehicles were hit, though this aircraft did crash into a concrete barrier, and it tied up traffic for hours. Now, as for that pilot, you heard from him a second ago. He is 49 years old, Paul Dean Freeman. He said the afternoon started off pretty pleasantly. He managed to do a few water landings for practice, and he was on his way home when all of a sudden his engine died and he began dropping like a rock. And he said he really only had a few seconds to decide where he was going to put his plane down. And he says things really could have been so much worse.
Other than that, nobody was hurt. My injury is my own problem, right? So that'll heal up in time. So that's about it. The plane can't be flown again without serious rebuild.
He suffered a fractured vertebrae, Ian. He was in surgery for 7 hours, but he is at home now and he's recovering.
So some really good flying on his part when all of a sudden he started to lose altitude. Good for him for speaking publicly, but there are questions about why he was using that ultralight in the first place.
He's been a huge fan of aviation for a while. He wanted to get his license for a long time, but he only obtained it last year. And he bought this ultralight just 4 months ago. It was used, and he said he's taken it out about 40 times without any problems. But the manager at the King George Air Park, which is where he's based, says he was actually warned not to fly this aircraft because these engine troubles were known. And this manager of this air park says this accident was 100% because of a bad decision.
We gave him a letter in writing specifying that the way he was operating the aircraft and the condition of the aircraft, in our opinion, was not airworthy. The condition of the aircraft deteriorated even more about a week ago. At that point, we really strongly, as politely as I can say on television, told him that he should not be flying his aircraft.
At first, the Transportation Safety Board says this wasn't really a serious case because the pilot and the plane, they were all still in one piece. But now they've changed their tune and they say they would like to speak to the pilot.
We all have to learn, and in some cases from our own mistakes, but we can learn from somebody else's mistakes, and that's part of what we do, and not only by reporting the accidents we investigate, but when we go out and brief the aviation community, including the ultralight community.
In his defense, Ian, Dean Freeman says he's a mechanic, he knows engines, but that air park says that's not good enough, and they've kicked him out.
All right, Teresa, thank you.
You're welcome.